Hey everyone, welcome back to Investing Ethos. And today we're going to be looking at an announcement that happened to one of our portfolio companies. And that company is Janison Education. So, another amazing announcement by the company, and it's regarding the OECD contract. And they have confirmed, and as you can see right here, that OECD accredits Janison as the sole provider of PISA-based tests for schools for all four countries of the UK. Now, this is quite an amazing announcement because what they're really saying is that Janison is not the ISP provider, so not the international internet service provider, but they're the national service provider. So which means they get $7,000 per school, whoever, when the school eventually do the test. So this in itself is a big deal because UK is composed of four countries, so four countries get it added to the test. And if you start reading this, we can clearly see which countries they are. They're for England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. So all four will be part of Janison. And because this PISA, the OECD contract was started from 2019 and it ends in 2024, we will only get two testing sessions, so only 2 years worth of testing for Janison in terms of revenues. But the amazing part of this agreement is that if we scroll past, we can see the potential market size. So Australia has around about 2,775 schools, while the UK has 7,200 schools, and this is composed of four countries. So hypothetically, if you have 7,000 schools and Janison makes $7,000 per school, if they were to get all of the schools in the UK, the total addressable market, as they rightly put out, is $50 million per annum. So that's if Janison were to renew the OECD contract after 2024, which we really hope as shareholders they do. But even so, from now till then, if they even get halfway across, around 3,000 schools, that is more than Australia, you're looking at a $25 million revenue opportunity for Janison. And this is what's really powerful about the OECD contract, is when you get that contract, the next stage is just winning schools and having schools use your platform to do the test. And then eventually, hopefully when 2024 comes, and they have a lot of experience running these tests, the OECD will be happy for Janison to continue being the platform and the national service provider for many countries. So this is an amazing announcement that they recently announced, which was today actually, and I was really surprised because I thought, you would get our third quarter financials by now, but I think they want to let out this announcement first, just to show that they really mean business. And this is one company, a small company in Australia, that is really kicking goals. And I think it's really important for any investor to watch out how they're going to progress in the future years, especially this year, how they'll roll out their current PISA-based tests, as well as future years when they eventually roll out for new customers that they win this year. So one of the new countries and new regions that they win this year is the UK. So for next year's test, UK will be part of it. And if you scroll past, you can see right here the progress. The Brazil one's very interesting because I know that they started in 2019. They signed the contract. Brazil was the first country to be part of the Janison's OECD program, but they only did one test, and I'm not sure if they have done another test. So we are not sure regarding how many schools will be scheduled for 2021 because they planned on scheduling it, and we're not too sure about that. Russia, we know for fact they're going to be doing 2,000 for the 2021 test, but also keep in mind that Russia has plans to do up to, I think, 70,000 schools or something like that, which is quite a lot of schools. But unfortunately, if Janison was the national service provider, they would have made a lot more revenue. But because they're the international service provider, or the IPP, or the international platform provider, what they're saying is that they're not going to make as much money per school for those types of exams. But in saying that, it's still revenue if they were to get there. The USA, yes, they delivered in 2020 and 2021, and they're preparing for growth in 2021 to 2022. And management have kept this very consistent in the previous update as well. We do not know what this is. It's better to probably ask in the next quarterly call that they'll announce after they announce the results, or maybe ask them in the financial year results as well, because we do not know what this means. But I think this is, from what we can see right now, we can be confident that they have proven themselves to be reliable with their forecasts. So I'm pretty excited to see how they progress in that aspect, especially with USA, because USA is a massive market, and if they were to just get 6,000 schools, you're talking about $50 million in revenue. So this is one of the key areas in which Janison really needs to do well, so that sustainable revenue growth for after the OECD renewal can take place. Portugal, yes, Portugal is a tiny tiny country for Janison, so serving less than 200 schools, you're not going to expect to get more from them. Same with Spain, it's not going to be too much, even though we have plans for tests for October. But Pakistan, that's a bit of a concern, because it was meant to happen this year, but they're going to delay it till 2022. I think they have laid out their reason as to why. But in terms of shareholders like us, I'm not sure if we're going to really think about their revenue potential in the short term, even though it's going to be delayed to 2022 with Beacon House. I think Beacon House being the national, being the service provider for the test. It all depends on the partnership with Beacon House, because Beacon House has many other schools around. So let's hope Janison use that partnership to get to other areas, and not just for the OECD contract. Japan, yes, less than 200 delivered. We have to do more. As shareholders, we probably want more. And plus, they had a agreement with Benesi to do those tests as well. So it's really important that Janison can build a good relationship with Benesi, so that they can be the platform provider for some of those school tests in Japan. So we know in Japan there's a lot of testing done, so getting more tests on board to the Insights platform will really help the company. Thailand, yeah, I'm not sure exactly what the progress is there, except what we we can see right now in terms of the status. I'm not sure how many schools will be scheduled for 2022, so it's kind of like a wait and see. Australia is doing really well. 200 schools in 6 weeks is quite impressive. And let's really hope that they get to 2,000, which is the total addressable market for Australia. The reason being is that's $20 million in revenue, so Australia is definitely a key focus, and plus because of the national service provider, they get $7,000 per school. China, now this is something new. We didn't see this. We didn't see that they're going to be doing to 1,000 plus schools, but because of the international platform provider, we are not sure regarding the revenue for this. So they probably need to explain it. Maybe it's the same as before. I'm not sure, because the contract, the revenue arrangement changed. I think before it was per student, per test, and now it's per school. So I'm not sure if it's still per school or is it per test. So we need to wait and see. And obviously these 4 are the new wins that Janison made. Going forward, well, we can really see why this is an important test. The reason why it's a really important test for schools to do is just because it's part of the OECD program, and countries in the OECD want to see how well their students are doing compared to other students around the world. So especially with reading, maths, and science. I mean, those are the skills that you need for the future digital economies. Um, you know, students that lack those skills are going to find it really hard to progress in a digital world. So that's why this test is kind of like getting to a point where it's kind of essential for countries to benchmark themselves, and that's what this test is really about. And us as shareholders, what we really want is we want sustainable revenue growth. We want to see the company like Janison, in this case, deliver an important service, but also deliver profits later down the track. But we can't even think about profits before we think about how much it will cost for them to run the operation, as well as what it takes for them to win customers and win schools and have schools implement and do the tests. Because we saw that they win the UK just now today, but we do not know how long it'll take before they start to ramp up the number of schools doing the tests. And we only get 2 testing sessions for the UK, so we've got to keep that in mind. Yeah, so, oh well, they did say for IPP they're charging, okay, $100,000 fixed fee. Yes, we knew that. For up to 200 schools, $500 per school per annum. Okay, so they're doing it by schools, because before it was done by students, so we've got to do a bit of a calculation to see how much they can win per school. So we'll have to update that. But apart from it, that's it. What an interesting company. Really fascinating business. And I've done a couple of videos just, breaking down my valuation for Janison. And I think it is quite possibly one of the most underrated companies in the Australian stock market, because not a lot of analysts are really digging deep into how they make money or how they plan on making money. And my valuation came to around about $3.20 or $3.60. I can't remember which one's which. But yeah, the reason why I got a very high valuation is because if they were to succeed, they would be worth around about $1 billion. And right now, the company is around the $100 million mark. So 10x growth from here is definitely a possibility if they execute. But it's hard to know if they execute. The reason being is we do not know what the future is. And we do not know if they get the revenue potential, and more importantly, we do not know if they're going to renew the OECD contract. Because at this stage they competed for the OECD contract and beat out Pearson, and Pearson is one of the biggest educational technology or educational business around the world. I mean, Pearson sells textbooks and materials that schools and teachers use, right, for their education curriculum. And Janison beating out them was like mind blowing, like a startup beating an existing incumbent for a very large contract is very, very rare. So in saying that, they will have to renegotiate the contract in 2024. That is 3 years from now, and we need to understand exactly if Janison were to retain that contract, or will a company like Pearson wins out and they take from 2024 to 2029. Because remember, this is a 5-year contract that they won, the PISA-based test for schools, from 2019 to 2024. The next contract is from 2025 to 2030. That's what I'm assuming. And if that's the case, then I'm guessing they have to recompete for the contract, because I don't think this contract is where, even though they won this one right now, they can maintain it. So that's the issue. And also another thing to keep in mind is that, once, let's say they didn't win the renewal for 2024, then what would happen to the customers that are on the platform? The customers are schools. Like, do they hand over this information to another platform provider, or do they, I don't know, stop business with the customers that they have? So all of these are quite a lot of uncertainties there, I must admit, that I didn't consider in my valuation. My valuation was like a best case scenario of everything going well. They could be worth $1 billion, and that's assuming that they renew the contract as well. So there's quite a lot of things to think about when you're really valuing this business. And I think so far, from now to 2024, the market really hasn't given them the benefit of the doubt, which I think means it's undervalued from my perspective. And that's why we have it in our virtual portfolio. But keep in mind, this is not personal financial advice. This is just my commentary on what I think is a really fascinating business to look at, for you to do more research on, and to see if you can poke holes and find out any weaknesses in the company strategy and see if there are ways in which they can go wrong. So I'm also doing it as well, but as announcement come in like this one, for some reason I think it's just further strengthens my conviction in the company. So thank you so much for listening. I hope to see you guys in the next video. Thank you.